This week's episode of the Inside Running Podcast is proudly sponsored by ASICS. Energise your runs with their SUPERBLAST shoe, stacked with the bounciest, lightest FF-Blast turbo foam technology for a supercharged ride. Visit asics.com.au or your specialty running retail store to grab your pair today. Enjoy the episode.
The skin can bring you so much pain. Now I hear you say you got the best of both ways. Won't you come and take a walk in my shoes and tell me if you take my place? Under the cover of my skin, I've heard all your names. If it's all the same, I'll keep on walking.
Welcome to episode number 285 of the Inside Running Podcast. Thank you for joining us for another week. It's been a big week in distance running. Boston Marathon happened today. Canberra Marathon happened locally. We've got Rotterdam results. We got some Irish results. We got listener questions. We got Moose on the Loose. It's got 3 different things written here for Moose on the Loose, so that's going to be interesting when we get to that.
4 now.
4, actually. Okay, he's adding them as we're going.
Something just came across my desk right there.
I did hear your phone vibrate just as I hit record then as well, so that's interesting. Can't wait to get up to that one. We might preview a bit of London Marathon because we've got some Australians in action there on Sunday as well. Thank you for joining us. Let me introduce my co-host. Would have been the king of Canberra this weekend, I imagine. Would have been kissing babies, signing autographs, high-fiving people out there on the course. Bradley Croker, how you going this week?
Good, Brady, and none of that happened. It was a pretty shit day in Canberra, so everyone was just, I guess, getting their run done and then getting out of there. wasn't the best day for. Well, it was actually pretty good running weather, but in terms of like socialising after the event, it wasn't ideal.
Would have been a few photos, wouldn't there, at least?
No
photos.
No, I was like pretty busy just moving around the course, after going following my athletes around.
I thought you had more of a presence in your hometown than that, to be honest. And when the running community came to town, I thought you might have been hit up a bit.
No.
Another co-host.
People be yelling at you from the course going, hey, that's Brad Croker.
Oh, there's a couple of, I got a couple of that. Yeah, a couple of people yell out.
Did, mate. Of course you did.
Got something. Other co-host. This bloke gets plenty of that when he's out in the wild. Croaks, Julian Spencer, 214 man from the Doha World Championships where he represented Australia. Welcome to you this week, Moose.
I don't get a lot of that.
You get a lot of that in Melbourne, don't you? Stopping for photos and stuff when you're in the big smoke?
No.
Giles Park this week. I reckon you were taking photos this week at Giles Park.
It's 2023, Brady, not 2019.
Yeah, just funny you mentioned that. I was driving home in my car from work tonight, and I was listening to Road to London, and I've just about had enough of Nick Earl, but he just keeps on bringing up this race at Biwa, and I know you complained about it, Brady, but I'm also complaining about it. I've started to think it's been so long since I finished a marathon. I'm losing my identity as a marathoner. I feel like I need to finish a marathon again just to feel the satisfaction of it.
Well, that was me. That's exactly how I was last year, Moose. And when I decided to pace Gold Coast, I'm like, you know what? I'm in decent shape. I haven't finished a marathon since BWAR in 2018. I'm going to finish it just to get a decent time again on the board. So you're back. You're basically in the same situation I was last year. Yeah,
and it must feel good to be back there. Now that you've got one on the board.
Haven't done anything since.
Well, we kind of got talking about it last week when Christian was floating the idea to go to Boston next year and what qualifying times you need to hit for good for age. And both you boys are in trouble. It's only 3 hours or 250 or something, so relatively slow to what you guys can run, but you got to get one on the board in time.
Before when?
Well, I think the ballot usually opens, or not a ballot, I think it usually opens like the week after the event, doesn't it?
It's pretty rough that like a result July last year doesn't count.
No, that should count.
Yeah, because
Doesn't
normally...
though, does it? Didn't Christian put the dates in?
Yeah, I think Christian did put the dates in.
I think he said like September.
Because you normally have a couple of years.
Nah, not September. What, that's less than a year.
Yes, you've got...
I'm just going off what Christian told me. Settle down a bit.
Yeah, September last year to now.
Did you look it up?
The time. No, I haven't looked it up.
That can't be right.
I think you're right.
You reckon Christian's got it wrong? I'll look it up while someone's recapping their week. Let's go with you first, Moose.
Go with Croaks. I'll hear from him.
Everyone's still Googling. Croaks, what are you doing? You're getting fit and getting close to a race. What do you got? 2 weeks this weekend?
Yeah, it'll be 2 weeks this weekend. Yeah, so 3 weeks just gone. Yeah, yeah, another pretty good week, and yeah, I definitely I'm really enjoying my running. I've sort of got the 2017, 2018 vibes about how I'm training. Although I'm obviously not in the same shape, but I'm feeling definitely stronger every week. And I said last week, I just need to be careful not to get too greedy. So pretty much I've got this week will be solid, and then I'll start to back off a little bit. I'll take the Sunday before the race. I'll just do like an hour 45 instead of like 30K or whatever. But yeah, my week, Monday, I was still down the coast because it was Easter Monday. So I did an hour out on the trails where I'd been running Saturday and Sunday, 4:14s for an hour, and then that afternoon went out to Mulligan's for just over half an hour at 4:16s, and then did some strides. And I think it's about maybe week 2 or 3 of doing strides twice a week, and they're definitely feeling like smoother the more that I do them. And I think it's also translating into just feeling smoother on a lot of my other runs. That combined with maybe a bit of gym work, plus just overall mileage, and I suppose just getting fitter. Then Tuesday morning, I jumped on the treadmill, just put it on 12K an hour, ran 7K, which is 5-minute Ks. And then that afternoon, most people were racing, so they had like a bit of a tune-up session of some 3-minute reps, like 5 3-minute reps off 75 seconds rest, and a few 1-minute reps off 60 seconds rest. So because I wasn't racing, I did just more 3-minute reps off 75 seconds rest or slow jog. So had Sam Hopper was down, so he was racing the half. So I did the first 5 reps with him, and then he did some 1-minute reps. But I went like 308, 308, 305, 307, 304, 303, 302, 259. And where we did it's a new section of the lake, and I reckon about 2 minutes of it is like really, really well lit. Like you wouldn't even know it's nighttime when you're running with the lights. And then you jump onto this old section of bike path, and you've got like 1 or 2 light posts along that sort of 400 meter section. So it's like when you're running sort of in the dark, like that perceived effort always, you feel like you're running a lot faster than you are when it's dark. But that was a pretty good session. I was happy with that. Then Wednesday morning, my midweek long run, would have listened to Road to London, 22K at 4:11s. And then Thursday, I'm sort of, as you notice, I'm trying to do a few more doubles. So in a normal training week, I'm trying to now do doubles on Monday, Tuesday, and then Friday, Saturday. And so Thursdays I'm trying to make now as like almost a day off in a way. So it's going to be basically a 30 to 35 minute run followed by some strides. So the Thursday just gone, I did 8K, 421s, but I didn't do strides. I felt like my calves pulled up a little bit sore from the 3-minute reps, and I thought, you know what, there's no point doing strides. Like I'll let it go. I've had a good few weeks, so didn't do any strides. Then Friday morning, I was just going to go around Yerriby Pond and just do like a steady state, like 13, 14K at 3:30s to 3:45, something like that. But James Tunbridge was in town, who I ran with a couple of weeks before, and he was down plugging the Wollongong Running Festival at the Canberra Marathon Expo. And so he wanted to do a session. And actually he challenged me. He's the guy that wrote in a few weeks back, boys, about wanting to race me at Parkrun the day before Canberra Marathon. But
He's the guy who beat you at that 5K last year, wasn't he?
Yeah. And I said I had to do my long run on the Saturday, so I wasn't going to do park run, but you're welcome to come out for a run either on the Friday or the Saturday. So we went out to Mulligan's, and I haven't done a tempo through here for I reckon a couple of years. This is where I used to do all like my marathon sort of sessions, like especially hilly tempos. So the session was 3x3K with a 500 meter float, so 10K in total. Not that paces are really relevant when you're running over hills, but I averaged 324s for the first rep, 325s for the second, 322s for the third, and the floats were 348, 354. So I averaged 327s for the 10K. James was with me for the first 2 reps and then popped and met him at the finish. So, it was nice having some company out there. That afternoon went out for...
Did you sink the boot in at the end? Just a few little quips here and there?
Well, when we got to the base, so we're about 800 meters into the last rep, and we go up this, it's probably like a 500-600 meter sort of hill. And as we were running down the hill on the way out on the first rep, he's like, "Oh, not looking forward to running up that on the way back." And then as we started going up the hill, he's like, "I'll see you at the finish."
Oh, see, this is it, right? He's not experienced enough racer.
Well,
he should have just kept his mouth shut, and you halfway up that hill would have been like, "Oh fuck, he might come back here. He might come back."
That's what I said to him after we cooled down. I'm like, "Mate, you psyched yourself out before, going down that hill." But he's coming back from knee issues, and like he's only running like 70K a week, and his sessions are like 20 minutes, and he's not doing much over the hills, and so he said that his legs were completely cooked, like just running over the hills. So anyway, it was good having him out there.
Does that count as a win, Croaks? I know you didn't have the parkrun showdown, but you'll take that?
Yeah, I think so. I think I put a minute into him in the last couple of K.
Yeah, you're definitely out of threshold zone by the sounds of things.
So that afternoon, 7.5K at 4:22s. And then, Saturday morning, got out for my long run, did 31K, 4:05s in the SUPERBLAST. That was an enjoyable run before, basically finished my run at the coffee shop so I could catch up with a few of the people that were racing on the Sunday and to grab their drinks. And then Sunday morning, got up super early, got out, supported all my runners, and then once everybody had finished, I then went out for an hour in the rain, just on the bike paths along Canberra. It wasn't an enjoyable run, I think, because I'd sort of been on my feet. So I ran at like 20 past 10, and I got to the race at like 6 o'clock. So I'd been on my feet for like 4 hours. Ran 4:10s for an hour, and then that afternoon just jumped on the treadmill for 7K at 5-minute Ks, which felt much better than the morning. So it was a week of 155.8K. So that's probably my limit. I definitely won't be going over that in the next month.
It's a good week. I like the quick long runs off the back of the workouts as well. You know, 4:05 off a solid workout, and then
you would like that.
Only because I can't do it.
I can
get jealous.
Well, it's easy in those shoes.
Good shoe,
easier in those shoes. Yeah,
bloody good shoe. Is ASIC sponsoring this week's episode?
They are.
Yeah, well, I'm saying that even if I didn't know they were. That's a good shoe. It's a very good shoe. 155 Moose. Can you match that?
That's nearly 100 miles.
Yeah. He's going to smack this 10K in 2 weeks.
That's the benchmark between a jogger and a runner. 100 miles.
Well, that's what I said. I feel like there's some like 2017, 2018 vibes, and like I know that I get fit, like generally the more I run, and like my body's holding up. It's just, you know what it's like. You just need to be careful because you just go, oh, how good's this? Like, and then I'm probably due for just a down week because I am a little bit older. I think I can handle 150.
You're a lot older.
I think I can handle 150 to 160 for a block, but I don't think I can do it like week in, week out.
You getting any joint pain?
No, none. Like I was even saying to Viv, because her and the kids came out Canberra Marathon morning, and like I used to hobble out of bed like in the mornings with my Achilles. I have none of that anymore. Like for years, if somebody was robbing the house and I had to chase them, there's no way I could have done it with my Achilles in the morning. But now I hop out of bed and I've got like no issues whatsoever.
That's a good sign. Jeez. You want some sort of supplement?
No.
Sounds like some peptides or something.
He's just a changed man, isn't he? Go back and listen 2 years ago and it would sound completely different to this.
But that's the thing. I do not know what was going on back then because I physically got myself in pretty good shape from a physiology point of view, but I was moving terribly. Like anybody that was running with me at the time were warming up on Tuesday night sessions. My left foot would just slap the ground. I had no control over my left foot. And so obviously this is way more enjoyable. And I think the last month or so, when was it? It was the same week, Moose. We got on here and we said, you know what, we're pretty motivated. It would have been when you got back from Osaka. And I've been that way for the last month. And like part of it is obviously body's good. Like this is the best time of the year to run. But I also just made the call. Like I had a chat with Viv and I said, you know what, like I just want to give it like one more go of actually like committing to everything. So like committing to strides, committing to some home gym. And when we spoke about what our New Year's resolutions were, one of mine was to do some of those 1%ers. So far I've been doing them. And I think that whole just having a bit more of a professional approach to it, even though I'm not a professional, just gives me confidence that I'm doing all the right things. And then, you know, even if you're not doing the right things, but you think you are, you have a lot of confidence in training.
Yeah, you're like the old boxing champ who just thinks he's got one more good fight in him.
Yeah. Well, based on, you know, where I'm at, like so my mulligans tempos, when I was going really well, I could roll 320s for like 50 minutes out there, and I averaged 327s for, you know, 35 minutes with, you know, 4 minutes of, you know, sort of fast jogging. So like I'm nowhere near that fit, but like I'm not too far off.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it feels like you're fit when we listen.
Yeah, I guess proof will be in the pudding.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. The 10K. Did look up that Boston Marathon stuff, fellas, and the big man was right, the King of Norway. Qualifying window for the 2024 race scheduled to take place on April 15th, 2024 will begin at September 1st, 2022.
So
wow.
You're telling me that the Boston time that you run... Oh, no, wait.
No, so Brady...
This is for the race in 12 months' time.
Yeah, so when do entries close, though, for it?
Registration details will be announced after the 2023 Boston Marathon. Doesn't say that yet.
Yeah. So Croaks could have ran this one. That's what you mean. Yeah. Yep. All right, I get what you mean.
But if he's got to enter, say, in 2 weeks' time, his Gold Coast one doesn't count.
Yeah, because it's yes.
Croaks, you're 40, aren't you? You got to run 3:10, but it says you should be aiming to run 20 minutes quicker than that to guarantee it.
2:50.
Just log your Sunday long run. Send that in. Tag him in your Strava comments.
But it's still you're entering, so it doesn't.
I think the entry open and closes pretty soon.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, say he runs that time at Gold Coast.
Yeah, he's missed it.
When's he actually allowed to enter? Like, how does he ever use that result?
He can't now. That's gone.
No, I know, but when was he supposed to?
Well, that's the thing. It
wouldn't work well with Boston Gold Coast.
Yeah. Like, that's a pretty short window. Like, if you think you've got basically from September through to, let's say they open entries next week, so like late April through to late May. You've got basically from September to May to get the time for Boston.
Yeah. So this doesn't make sense to me.
Well, this was last year's, but this was a September marathon.
Yeah, so Croaks goes out.
It was open for a week, September 12th to September 16th.
It opens in September.
No, but that's because they moved it to September.
Oh,
so I assume because now it's back to April every year, they will go April, say it's next week, April 22nd to April 27th.
Okay. So it's not a traditional Boston qualifying window.
No. But then, look, if you really wanted to run...
We'll be back to that now, though, won't it?
I don't know.
I'd
But
say
if
it'd
you
be
really-
April to April.
Yeah.
That's what it would be because they're not going to let.
No,
that
but
means
he could
you
have
can't-
done. So my Valencia's okay because it was after September.
Yeah, I know that, but you can't have a window that doesn't include the whole year.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Okay.
doesn't work.
So because they've
Like-
gone to the COVID dates.
If someone runs the qualifier in Boston yesterday, then you mean that? Yeah, I mean maybe that would count, but anyway, fuck.
It's getting confusing, isn't it?
I reckon you need to read that more. I reckon I'm not going to read it later. I'm just going to say you're wrong to everybody.
Well, Christian told me, and I just looked it up. But I think the confusion is because it went from a September race to a April race. No, I don't know. Don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
Someone smarter than me can figure it out, Moose.
Anyway, doesn't look like I'm running Boston next year.
Yeah.
You're going to miss out on the boys' trip, Croaks.
Well, when's Moose? How's Moose going to get in?
World champs
Elite,
representative.
mate. Elite
start.
entry.
Oh,
Front
okay.
line. Front line.
I'll have the-
Ned Brockman over there.
Oh, boy.
That's coming
Just
up
warming
later,
me
I
up.
think.
Just warming me up.
Tell us about your week, Moose.
Ran with the dog on Monday morning. It's quite good running with him. He's getting better. He can make it 32. I had to drag him a little bit towards the end, but he slows me down, which is also good. He's a real 5-minute K dog, not a 4-minute 30 dog. So it does help me put the brakes on. In the Arvo, I ran on the treadie, 40 minutes. I reckon this was work, Easter Monday. Yeah, I did work this day. This was Easter Monday, so I was at work. Then next morning, went out around the hills for an hour. Did a workout the next day down in Aries Inlet. So met Ellie. She had a workout. It was 12 minutes, 8 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 minutes, and the effort was going to increase as the reps got shorter. The rests were, if I remember off the top of my head, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes perhaps. Yeah, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. So decent rest. The idea, like this close to the race, get the effort in, but allow yourself enough recovery that it's not that hard of a workout. So it was pretty good. The conditions were okay. It was raining, and it had rained a lot, so the road was a little bit slippery. But those New Balance shoes, those Super Comp Elites, they got pretty good traction on the wet. It's really easy to run. It's really easy mentally when you're running someone else's workout because you don't have to focus on the pace. Like you're never pushing the pace because I run to Ali's effort. These were all efforts, not paces. So I'm not allowed to push, which means that I was very comfortable because I just sit back and run next to her. And it's slightly more comfortable for me than her. And I just remember thinking, I'm like, gee, these sessions go so fast when you don't have to really worry about your own performance at all, or making the workout good, or hitting certain splits or heart rates. It's just so easy to rock up and run next to someone.
Question for you, Moose. How much of so obviously you're running within yourself, so it's a comfortably hard session. How much of the physical benefits as a percentage do you reckon you're getting? So obviously, if you were doing your own workout, you'd run faster this, and let's say you're getting 100% benefit by doing it at the paces that you should be doing at it, but doing it slightly slower, you're still getting like 90% of the fitness gains?
It's a different session. So the reason that I'm not getting fitter, or the reason that this could work against me, is that I'm not doing the session as it's intended, which it is for Ali, and she is getting those benefits. So, like, for instance, this isn't the best example because it's like a full progression and it's a taper workout. But if I had her do 8x K and I ran next to her, and the idea is that she runs VO2 max type zone, so above threshold, and by the last rep, she's really lactic and it's quite difficult. I don't get that, so I'm sitting at threshold or below. So all my workouts turn into either threshold or sub-threshold workouts, and so that starts lacking from my training program. My overall, ingredients for this cake of fitness, I guess you'd say. Like, I'm just not getting that stuff in my running, and that's where this is a limitation for me.
Yeah.
And it shows, because I go to do one of my own workouts and I'm like, whoa, I haven't done like today's workout was 8 by 3 minutes over hilly little course on trail, and I'm like, fuck, I haven't felt lactic like this for a long time. Going up the hills in rep 7 when you're pushing pretty hard, you got someone next to you, it's like, all right, this is what I've been missing.
Well, that was my question to you last week. Do you think like helping Ellie out so much has been sort of detrimental to your own training? And like you said, yeah, like it'll be better once I don't train with Ellie and I start doing my own sessions.
Yeah.
I guess you're starting now.
It'll be better, but at the same time, it's allowed me to train consistently and increase my mileage slightly as well. And that's been really good for me, being able to do that safely. So I don't think it's been bad for me. And I think it's provided a really good foundation now that I can get in and jump into some racing and some harder workouts back on Tuesdays with the crew.
Well, that's what I was sort of getting at when I asked you in terms of like doing Ellie's workout. Like, you're still getting some like good fitness benefits, as you said. Like, you're being consistent and your fitness is still building, but yeah, you're just missing that specific sort of fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this sort of, we'll call it sub-threshold type running, I actually think it is really helpful when you start getting into the marathon stuff, because it pretty much is, a lot of it is sort of marathon type heart rate. And yeah, the pace might be a little slower, but I'm not that fit now. So like, let's say Ellie's in mid 220s fitness, I'm probably not that far off that either. So I think it's been good, but I am looking forward to just mixing it up a bit. So yeah, the workout went pretty well. She was working, she's got this cold, and that cold is affecting her running quite a bit. It's not just a cold, but it's like a sinus infection. And you can just hear she struggles to get breath in, and she's just not optimal like health right now. So I know it's starting to frustrate her on these workouts when the paces she's trying to hit, and it's just a little harder than it was even earlier in the build when she wasn't sick. It's been a difficult time mentally the last couple of weeks with this sickness she's had. So yeah, I mean, she's pretty like level-headed about it, but I imagine this would be fucking with some people's heads right now, getting like a cold 3 weeks out from the race and it hanging around for up until race week. It would be a hard thing to try to get like not too caught up in thinking about it so much. Next day, I got a new Garmin. So my Coros, the dial stopped working, so I would stop my run and I couldn't hit finish. It would like lock up, or it wouldn't lock up. It would like slip. So I'd turn the dial, but nothing would catch, and I couldn't scroll through my watch menu. So I got a new one. I got the Garmin Forerunner 265, which is the latest in that range of Garmin's. Started with the 225, which is a fucking brilliant watch back in like 2013, I reckon it was. And it's gone to 245, 255, 265, obviously. So I've had Coros for a few years now. I reckon like early 2019, I got my last Coros, reckon it was. And I've been adjusting to the Garmin. There's pros and cons around it. I'm not going to go into a review or anything, but one of the cons is the battery life. That sucks compared to the Coros. Like, I feel I've already had to charge it a couple of times, and I was like charging my Coros once a fortnight. or once a week maybe, like even though I didn't have to. Whereas this Garmin, I'm charging it every couple of days. But it is a brilliant display. Like, it's vibrant. It looks like an iPhone. It's like high definition kind of TV screen on your wrist. And it's generous. So it's like the same. It's way more generous than the Coros was in terms of going around corners. And I think like I ran with Ellie this day, and I think she had 440s and I had 437s, and we ran the same course. So I don't know how they're...
Yeah, Archie and I do that the same. Workouts, it goes even bigger gap.
Yeah, yours is... You got a Coros.
Yep. He's got a Garmin. If we're doing workouts and we take some bends, it's about 4 or 5 seconds a K difference.
And what do you think's the accurate one?
The slow one, because you're slow when you go around bends.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't keep it... Like, when we're doing workouts at around 3 minute K pace and we're taking right angle turns, and he seems to get quicker, whereas I slow down, which is actually what's happening.
Yeah, interesting.
You can tell with the grid, if you go to the Strava like grid, you can see when you put your hover over the GPS data, and when someone goes around a bend and it says averaging like 250, 230 pace, you're like, no, they're not. Just the GPS getting stuck on the corner, whereas the Coros doesn't get stuck.
Do you feel like it?
Watch this week at Gels Park. Me and you will have be 100 metre difference, Coros and Garmin.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'll check. This would be a good test then.
Yeah.
This sort of like brings me on to my first Moose on the Loose. We'll chuck one in, just one in early, because we'll spread them out across. Like, these watches are not cheap, right? And these guys have been making running watches for, God, like, what, 2000, I'm going to say like 5?
Yeah.
About that, when they come out with that massive fucking red.
Yep.
red
yeah, the red, and they had a blue one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a computer. It was a computer
I
on
know.
the wrist.
Flat screen.
But how excited were you? Because I remember back in the day.
I never had that one. I went to the next version, I think.
So the way I used to measure my runs, and I remember Jeremy Roth used to do this as well. There was like Google Earth, basically. There was you go into Google Earth and you would draw lines across the road that you've run on to try and work out how far your loop is. So then so if you told me back in 2000 that I'd be wearing something on my wrist that would tell me how fast I'm going, and how far I've gone, I wouldn't have believed you. And so it was a bit of a game changer, but obviously there's pros and cons for that now.
Yeah, there is. It's definitely. But I feel like we're on top of it now. Like, we've gone through this mass hysteria with watches and data, and now maybe we are, us three, and a lot of the guys in our group are on the downward slide to that, and we're realizing how much more benefit it is to not get caught up in it. Maybe it's just a cycle before we start putting all sorts of wearable shit on us. But they've had these things for so long, and they still can't make it a watch that's accurate around a corner, Brady. Is it Garmin? How is it so different?
Using satellites from thousands of meters away, isn't it?
Thousands of meters.
Kilometers. Hundreds of thousands. I don't know how far the satellites are.
So what's the technology that Coros have to even that out that
don't they use
Garmin
a different
don't
satellite?
have?
Garmin, mate, I got all the best satellites on my watch.
The satellite might be closer, the Coros one flying up there.
I just bought this fucking watch. It told me all these satellites.
Can we just clarify that too? You've bought this. This isn't like a product review segment.
Oh, hell no. I don't think Garmin look up. No,
you haven't given them the best review anyway so far. But you're right. With all heart rate monitors on watches, they're all poor.
So let me look at this.
I just turned mine off. And then I saw a listener question the other day. I was like, why do people turn off or hide their heart rate data? And it's it's not people hiding it. It's just people turning it off so it doesn't come up on Strava.
Oh, what?
You don't.
Oh,
do you run it on?
You can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've turned off the wrist heart rate. So if you ever see heart rate data from me, it's just from my strap.
Yeah, okay. I'm just looking now at the at how. Oh,
this isn't paid also, but I've been running with the Coros pod on the back of my shorts to get more accurate data.
Did it work?
I haven't tested. Actually, that's a lie. I didn't put it on to get accurate data in the like pacing or the distance, but I've put it on to get my left and right balance, which it gives me that data, which I find pretty cool. Because I was just like,
you can get that from wearing a heart rate monitor.
Can you? Okay. I rarely wear a heart rate monitor, but this was pretty good because I just wanted to see if I was still favouring my dodgy hammy. So I thought I'll put that on and just see what the data spits out.
And what was the percentages?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was like 49.5, 50.5.
So I think I've got that. I think my watch can do this.
Yeah, because people I coach on Final Surge have it, but that must be. It wasn't a stock standard Coros function with my watch unless I had the little clip thing on.
Oh yeah, I think you do need the. You actually need to wear the heart rate monitor run for that.
For the Garmin.
For the Garmin. Oh no, you can wear that for the Coros too, and it's the actual heart rate monitor that collects the data.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I'm looking at my watch now. It does give me stride length, vertical ratio, vertical oscillation, average ground contact time, but it doesn't give me the ground contact time balance.
Okay, that's the one I wanted to know.
Yeah, I reckon that might be the heart rate one. Anyway, it was. I'm frustrated at the wrist. So getting onto the main complaint about the watch is that they advertise like better heart rate accuracy, optical heart rate. That's the heart rate monitor that's inside the watch that reads your capillaries or whatever. And the first couple of runs, I got fucking awful figures, and so that annoyed me quite a bit because I always have these like aspirations that I'll never have to put a chest strap on again. But yeah, not quite. Even the heart rate today on my workout was terrible off it. So as soon as like I get one bad bit of data, I know it can't be trusted forever, so I don't trust it. So if I do want data, proper heart rate data, I'm going to have to go back to the chest. I ran with Jose for a bit at the end, Ellie's husband. What do you reckon about that picture?
He's a cool guy, isn't he, Jose?
Cool guy. He's his own man, Jose. I love him, but cool, probably not the word I'm going to use to describe Jose.
Oh, I thought he was a cool dude, didn't you, Croaks? Jose?
Yeah, surfer, physio.
Yeah. He's gone into farming recently too, hasn't he?
Chilled.
I reckon he's got like...
he's from Pyramid Hill, don't you?
Yeah, so you still think he's cool?
Yeah.
He's always good. He's always good for a chat.
He was the coolest bloke to ever come out of Pyramid Hill. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I don't know. He's good chat, but I'm just saying he's not cool. And he like, I don't think he would think he's cool. I don't think Ellie thinks he's cool. I know Brady doesn't think he's cool. I don't think he tries to be cool, but maybe that's why he's cool.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
That's why he's cool. He's one of those guys.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I like it.
I don't even know what day you're up to, Moose.
Yeah, can we get a bit quicker through this
Next
week?
workout, Saturday, 2x5K. Did this again with Ellie. We ran around the river because she had a flight to catch. So this was the last workout. This was her last proper workout. We started off too hard. So I remember thinking in the first K, I'm like, this doesn't feel right. This feels like it's like we've gone too quick. And I reckon we were right because the first, like I looked down at 1K in and the average pace of the lap said too fast. So I put the brakes on a little bit. She was keen to get moving on this workout. She wanted to press it a little bit, which I did keep asking her to slow down. But she was sort of on a bit of a grind because of this sickness is playing with her head a little. I think she wanted to just run a workout that she got some confidence from. So she wanted to know that she can still hit the paces she needs to, even though she's sick. And it's not the smartest thing to do 8 days out from your race. And especially on the course we were on, which was dirt roads and twisty turns and a couple of lumps like hills. So she worked too hard here, and she knew she did. But we had a chat afterwards about, I still think this was a really, like, forget the purpose of the workout. The fact that she did 2 by 5K at that pace on this course is a good sign of her fitness. Regardless of how hard it felt, it's a good sign of her fitness, which is what she wanted to take away from that day. And hopefully she doesn't feel the need to push anything this week.
Moose, looks like you were the one pushing it. Your first 5K was 12 seconds faster than hers.
Oh, first 5K?
Yeah, you got 16:59. She got 17:11.
Yeah, I know. How about that?
Yeah.
So
that's the watches.
Weird? Yeah, because I hit 5K. I'm like, yeah, that's it. And she's like, no, it's not. And we keep running, and I'm like, what?
I guarantee you the Coros is more accurate than the Garmin.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why, like, we want to hit particular splits in sessions, and like we just think that the watch is 100% accurate. And I remember actually on one of the Road to Nowhere series, maybe, like, Ellie was chatting how she was doing a session through like a heavily treed area, and the Garmin went a bit funny, and she knew that she hadn't slowed down, but the Garmin was telling her that she was, so she actually increased the effort to make sure that the watch was showing the pace that she wanted to show. Which, like, that's the mistake of just, thinking that the watches are 100% accurate.
Yeah, exactly. That's something external affecting our workouts when it really shouldn't.
Yeah. But so many people make the mistake. Like I'd be, like, I'm guilty of that at times as well. Going, I expect to hit this pace for this rep. So the only thing I can go off is my watch, because I don't have markers on the road.
It's the in-between fitness stages, I think, where you do it the most, because you want to see yourself getting fitter, and you want a little bit of reinforcement that's like, yeah, I'm going well. Whereas when you're really fit, you're really fit, you don't really care that much.
Yeah.
And when you're unfit, you also don't care that much, because oh, fuck it, I'm not fit. It doesn't matter what the numbers say.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what I'm doing, because I'm unfit, that if I do anything, I'm going to get fitter.
Yeah.
I don't need to push.
It's the middle stage, which we're all kind of in right now. Anyway, I did it as so I did 12K beforehand, because I had something on Sunday. So 12K, and then 5K with her. We had a 3-minute jog. 3 minutes? It was 4 minute, 3-minute jog, and then her workout. Then the second 5, and then 4K cool down. So it was 27K all up. And yeah, I was a bit cooked in the end, actually. I feel like that workout took it out of me. I got quite hot on the second rep. Like, my head started to get hot, and I didn't know whether it was humid or I was dehydrated or what was going on. Didn't feel very good. And then, that Saturday afternoon, I kind of had to have a pretty chilled out arvo. I didn't double or anything. And then on Sunday, ran 40 minutes in the morning, and then headed to Melbourne. I did a coaching course up there. It was at I don't know what building we were in. Maybe Athletics Australia. Do they have a building in Melbourne, at Albert Park there?
What did you do? Level 1 recreation?
Could have been Athletics Victoria.
Community coach?
Yeah, I'm a rec coach. I am a rec coach, actually. I have that accreditation, Brady.
So do I.
So I already got that. Don't worry about it.
Now tell us about that. It was all big dogs, wasn't it?
Well, do you want to know about it or not? Are you going to make fun of it?
No. It was a good joke. Tell us about it. I saw you tweeted a photo today of all the big dogs.
I retweeted one, not tweeted. Retweeted.
You weren't in the photo. I zoomed in that many times trying to find you. I'm like, why has he retweeted this when he's not even in the picture?
Well, you know what Moose is like in person? He likes to be hiding in the corner.
My laptop was open, and they've got an email of mine showing on the laptop, on the photo.
Oh, is it your photo?
Yeah, my laptop.
Your screen. Oh, did you present there?
Hold on, there's some privacy stuff around here. I might have had some sort of, like, sensitive information.
Gav Burren was in the photo. Justin Rinaldi was there. Bissett's coach. Ned Brophy, is it?
Ned,
He was in the
Ned
photo.
and well, it was quite like a physiologist and coaches were in the room. So Avish Sharma and Ned Brophy, who is a coach and a physiologist, they both presented. Avish presented on altitude, how to implement it, when to implement it, kind of like that kind of stuff. And then there was a Q&A with Nick Badeau. And then Dick Telford was on a phone call talking about how he's used altitude throughout his coaching career and what he does now, lessons he's learned. Who else presented? The Philo Saunders presented on altitude training because they've all done a lot of research into it. They've used that house. I reckon, Croaks, you would have been in that house, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I've done a few studies in the altitude house at the ALS.
And was it like with Philo and Brent Valance and that?
Well, Brent would have been with the race walkers, but yeah, Philo was part of it. Like the ones I did were back in like 2007, and then another, or 2007, I reckon.
2007.
Yeah, and then another one in 2000 and maybe 14.
I've actually heard some stories about you in that house, Croaks. Can't put them on air here, but I've heard some stories about your behaviour back in 2007.
No, we can't. There's a couple. Yeah, there's a couple that probably shouldn't go to air.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll tell you off air, Moose.
this is what the people want to hear.
Oh, yeah. No, may have had a few to drink at an engagement party at 600 metres above sea level in Canberra, and then headed up to 3,000 metres above sea level in the altitude house, and yeah, it was a bit sick. That's one story.
Yeah, that's not the one I heard, but anyway,
No.
it's good.
So then who else? Jess Rothwell, she also presented on nutrition for altitude camps, which I thought was actually really interesting. A lot on iron as well, like iron deficiency, supplementation. That I took a fair bit from that. And then Jared Talent and Brent Valance talked about heat training. So Jared was obviously really successful in the hot championships, and Brent, he's done a lot with the race walkers. He helped me before Doha. And then who else talked? So
what were the biggest takeaways?
Top three, Moose. Takeaways. What'd you write down?
Top three takeaways. Well, the specific technical thing I took was, if you're going to altitude, don't change your training structure. So keep your training structure the same. That was consistent across all of the coaches and even the physiologists. Like there's certain ways to tweak sessions, but don't change your structure of training when you go up. Second thing was, no one really, except for Philo, everyone was a little bit like 50-50 on altitude training, whether it was actually beneficial or not. So no one fully trusted it except him. The others were like, we go there because it might work and it provides a really good training location, but we don't really know if it's the altitude that's providing those gains or not. And then for the heat training, I think heat training provides a really good extra stimulus for an athlete who's already almost maximizing the load that they're training at from a mechanical perspective. So if, let's say, we'll use the example of Ellie because that's who I coach, is that she's running 100 miles a week. We're pretty much tapped out her mileage. It's too dangerous to increase that anymore. She's doing all the hills that we need. And she's doing some altitude training or whatever. She's going on altitude camps where it's like, okay, how do we provide a little more stress here or there in order to get some adaptions? And using heat is one of them, even if it's not for preparing specifically for a hot race. So it's like, we're going to throw in a block of heat at the start of this build, and we're going to get some good little adaptations to it from it, and then we're going to do it again later in the build. But we're not actually going to do any training in the heat outside of this block, and we're not racing in the heat. So we use it like altitude pretty much. But there were some good ones. I actually found like there's a real there was some pretty different opinions in the group from some maybe more science focused coaches and some more maybe field based coaches, and that was interesting. So I enjoyed some of the conversations around that. I just sat there, shut up, listen. And when I got home, so I got home later, and I ended up running. I wanted to get a double. I really needed this. For some reason, I'm like, fuck, I need to get this double in. And so I had dinner, put Pia down, and then I thought, I'm going to basically just like trial running after dinner, which is something that I have never done in my whole life. And so I got out at 10 to 8, chucked the headlamp on, and just run like around Anglesea. And it wasn't bad, actually. It wasn't bad. Like I had a pretty light dinner, just a little bit of roast lamb and some salad. And then that was probably about 1 hour before I ran, and I felt like it didn't affect me too much. And so this is something that I might end up doing through winter in order to get some doubles in.
Get some Ks in. Good week, 122.
Yeah, good week. At some point I need to pick up my mileage, but it's just not ready. My body's just not ready. I've just got aches and pains in spots at the moment where I know that if I add more running, they're going to get worse. They're going to turn into injuries. So I'm sort of just treading water at the moment.
So if your house got robbed, you'd be in a bit of trouble?
Yeah,
Take a bit to get going?
No one would rob my house. I have nothing of value here.
Plenty of shoes, don't you? Don't you collect shoes? Or are they in the shop?
Yeah, I've also got like a 50-kilo German Shepherd.
True.
This week's episode of the Inside Running Podcast is proudly sponsored by ASICS. SUPERBLAST on, SUPERBLAST off with the ASICS SUPERBLAST shoe. Super bouncy FF Blast turbo cushioning on a layer of FF Blast Plus foam for a super energetic ride. Super lightweight FF Blast turbo cushioning, which is ASICS' lightest foam yet. Super stacked with ASICS' highest midsole ever, offering a standout running experience and head-turning aesthetics. Visit asics.com.au or your specialty running store to grab your pair today.
I'm going to whistle through this week, boys, because we've been going for 50 minutes, and I want to talk about running news. So I've got my hamstring right, I think. I think it's good. I did 160k in total, 2 workouts, a medium long run and a long run. My first workout of the week was Tuesday. I did 7 by 3 minutes. I was planning to do 6, got to 6. I thought I can do an extra one here. Averaged about 3:07 pace. Still feel a bit clunky at that like low 3 minute pace. And that's where the hammy kind of didn't feel comfortable on Tuesday. But my second workout of the week felt a lot better. I did 4 by 2k, probably around like 3:15 pace, off maybe, I think it was 2 minutes jog between. Felt really good and felt like I was kind of, throwing the brakes on just to slow things down a bit. So I guess it's probably just a bit different biomechanics hitting that 3:15 pace than 3:07, 3:05 pace. One thing I wanted to ask you boys, I was jogging one of the nights and it was quite dark, and I ran past a couple of people walking with a pram, and they had a dog in the pram. What are your thoughts about dogs being in prams? Yes or no?
Yes.
You happy with it? Okay.
Big time happy with it.
If they're out there, it could be could be an old dog or something too.
Well, you don't just put a fucking young dog in a pram, do you? There's a reason
some
that
people
dogs...
would, Moose.
No.
Some people would walk their dogs in prams because they're a bit precious. I think that's what... There was a lot of like not acceptable in my Strava comments. I'm going to say 90-10%.
Or...
But I don't know the situation either. I just was like, this is a bit late and a bit dark for these people to be walking their baby. And they're like, no, it's a dog in there.
So, Moose, you're thinking it was an elderly dog and they were just getting it out.
Could have had a disability
too. Fresh air.
100%. There's like, or it's got like a disease or something, or it's conditioned.
Yep.
That's acceptable to me. Big time.
And we don't know what it is. I'll have to ask him next time I see him.
I love that.
Yeah, so that was on one of my jogs. Archie and I went for the long run on Sunday, got 34k done, 4:08 average. Rain the whole way. Checked the radar before we went, pushed it back half an hour so we'd miss the rain, and then we pretty much ran in the rain for 2 hours.
How bullshit are those apps? Right?
Well, I use the website, the Bomb one, where you can actually see the satellite and stuff, and it was all clearing. Message Archie, said, let's go at 8 o'clock, we're going to miss all this rain. Yep, no worries. 10 minutes in, drenched. But that's okay. It was pleasant. Hammy's good. I'm running Giles Park relays this weekend. Moose has given me some spikes. I think this hamstring's behind me. 10 weeks to Gold Coast. Should be good.
Are you slightly worried about an all-out effort flaring up the hammy again?
Yeah, extremely worried. Wouldn't be running if Andy wasn't doing Hamburg Marathon and Archie was in the team. I'd prefer to have the week off, but we're a bit short on numbers. So I think
Why isn't Archie in the team?
He's unavailable. He's going away for the weekend. Out of town. Got his dates mixed up.
Where's he going?
Few cracks in his team, I reckon, this year.
He's going up to Newcastle or something. What's that saying? Like success makes cowards or something? I'm getting that vibe, Croaks.
Really?
A bit of success last year. Yeah, success creates cowards. Is that the thing? I'm not calling anyone a coward, but sometimes you get a bit complacent after a bit of success.
I've never heard that.
Cowards? Cowards is a bit strong.
Isn't that the quote?
I've never heard it.
No, I've never heard that before.
I thought there was a fatigue makes coward of all of us. Maybe that's it.
Maybe it's complacency.
Yeah, I'd say complacency. Success can lead to complacency.
Yeah, not cowards.
I thought that was I swear they were talking about the Geelong footy team about that the other day.
Cowards? They're not cowards.
Nah, complacency, I reckon.
Success makes the cowards out of all of us or something. I'm trying to reel. Can you hear me typing? I'm like, come on, get me something here. I can't find anything.
No, that's not one.
It's not one. I'm sorry. Yeah, I've got that wrong. Anyway, we're back at we're back Giles Park this week. I'm just hoping I feel pretty good. We'll see what happens.
Well, how about I bang in my second moose on the loose here?
Okay.
So, runner signs up, lives in Geelong now, or down the coast. Been training with the Geelong group.
Yep.
Says, hey, I want to run for Geelong this year. We're like, great, come on board, thanks. Sent out a message a week ago. Who's up? Who's running for Giles? Please put your hand up. Yeah, I'm there. Yep, I'm there. All good, available. Now, that vibration you heard before, that vibration, right, this is hard for me to control my anger here. Sorry to throw you around, but I won't be racing for Geelong this cross-country season. Hope all goes well for you guys. Okay.
Craigs.
So who the fuck are you running for then? Why would you say you're running for one team and not run for them? Like, there's a thing called commitment. These little piss ants that run around now got no fucking, commitment to their, what they've signed up for.
Your pockets aren't deep enough.
That's some bullshit right there. And so this person,
Kieran.
Boy, they are going to get some fucking savage sprays on Saturday afternoon.
Are they running for another club?
Yep.
Oh,
another regional club too.
Is it the Bendigo Bats?
Yep.
I'm going to check our teams now.
There's going to be some elbows, potential fists thrown at this race.
Are they going to be in Bendigo's Divvy 1 team this weekend?
Can they run in my team, in my spot, so I can run Divvy 3? Would it be a Premiership division person?
Oh, I hope so. I hope they're in the same leg as me.
No, our teams got sent out last night. You're telling me this is only happening tonight?
Yeah.
Interesting.
There you go, Brady. Maybe you can be replaced this week.
Is it Matt Gunther? Toby. Toby.
I'm not mentioning names on here.
Could be Toby because I know him and Andy have become close, Croaks.
Well, I'm just gonna.
Imagine if it's Toby.
When the results come out, I'm just going to check all the Bendigo runners and try and work out which one may have had an allegiance to Geelong.
Yeah, well, look, the allegiance is broken, and if he's spotted running around our city or our town, or he tries to show up to the track, oh boy, this is what I love.
This will be thrown.
Rivalry, you cannot fuck us over like this.
And he walks into your shoe shop, and it's recommended retail plus 30%.
No, send someone else. You go take care of this fella. His money's good here. But I'm going to complain about him out the back.
All right, let's thank some Patreon supporters, eh? I've got a bit to get through. I'll go first. Matthias Bernston from Oslo in Norway. I met Matthias, I reckon. PB of 39.29, 2018 Homestad 10K, 90.59 at the 2019 Lorexskog half marathon, 3:17 at the San Sebastian marathon in 2019. Yep, here we go. Met Brady in Valencia on a group run. Photo on Strava. He was there the day before the race with all the other Norwegians. Ran 3:23 at Valencia that day. Claimed it to be a weight-adjusted personal best. I'll pay that. Been pretty quiet on Strava since Valencia. Pretty sure he is a delivery manager at the Norwegian Public Service Pension Fund. So thanks, Matthias, for your support. Hope run's going well. Let us know what's happening. Hope you enjoy the monthly with Christian, recording that tomorrow night. We'll be able to get a bit of Norwegian chat in there. Who you got, Croaks?
I got Brad Glennon from Engadine up in Sydney. He's a regular at Dolls Point Park Run with a PB of 18.15 set in 2019. He ran 43.37 at last year's Sydney 10, but has run 37.46 at a Sydney Striders race back in 2019. And pretty sure he ran 3:02 at the 2019 Sydney Marathon. Pretty sure he is a senior health and safety advisor dealing with like the heavy vehicle national law for CPB contractors. They design and build infrastructure across all key sectors, including roads, rail, tunnelling, defence, building and resources infrastructure. So thanks for your support, Brad. And hopefully I'll see you at Sydney 10 this year.
Thanks, Brad. Who you got, Moose?
I have Matthias Edstrom. He's from Denmark. So that's close to Norway, isn't it? Denmark?
Yep. Borders.
Yeah. Follows me, Croaks, and Christian on Strava. Oh, he's done this on purpose, I reckon.
No, because I looked all this up a few weeks ago, so he couldn't have just heard last week's or whatever and then dropped Brady.
I reckon you're stuffing something up here, Croaks. I reckon you're doing your research incorrectly.
Check him.
I've got the best Strava out of all of us.
Brady's so pissed off.
Well, I can't. It doesn't make any sense, does it?
The biggest influencer on the show.
I'm not an influencer. I'm just a blue-collar bloke who just trains hard and puts good data on Strava.
No one wants to follow you, mate.
Yeah, I've nearly got 5,000 followers, actually. This bloke hasn't ran since June 2023. No wonder.
Hey, go easy on our patrons, Brady.
He's run 38.08. Settle now. Just chill out a bit.
He's got a kid too. We could relate that way.
He's run 38.08 for 10K, 88.35 at last year's Aarhus half marathon, and 3:17 at the 2022 Copenhagen marathon. Nothing on Strava since the start of Jan. Not a good sign from Matthias. Maybe he's just turning the volume down. So it's what was it? Turn the volume down, right?
Lessen the noise.
Lessen the noise. He's a co-founder and CMO of Drip Drop, which is an eco-friendly umbrella sharing company. Explain that.
So it's like Uber, but for umbrellas.
Yeah, so like hotels would have them where you pretty much like pay a fee to unhook a umbrella, and they're made from like eco-friendly materials and stuff.
And you dump them at other hotels.
It's got a GPS in it. They can see where it is.
Really?
I don't know. I'm just putting two and two together. You know, like those scooters and bikes that big cities have?
Yeah. I know what that is.
You got those in Anglesey?
Anglesey?
Yeah.
Of course we don't have that in Anglesey.
Okay. I was just checking. I thought Chukamoama was the only place that didn't have it.
We're an eco-friendly town. We don't want fucking scooters strewn all over our town.
Bikes in the river down there.
Yeah.
That's what...
Anyway, good for Matthias. Wonder if that's like a hobby job or it's his actual job, Croaks.
That's his job.
Is it a big company?
I don't know how big. Well, they've got their website. That's where I found out some of the information.
What's CMO stand for? Chief Managing Operator?
Oh, Chief...
I've been watching that Succession. You've been watching that? Chief Marketing Officer. Ooh.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Anyway, that's good.
Drip Drop. Good.
Thanks to our Patreon supporters. Thanks to all the people over there on Patreon. If you're keen to hear, if if you've got a lot of Ks coming up this week and you're not real sure you want some stuff to listen to, you should cram in Road to London. Listen to it all between now and Sunday to hear about Sinead. Well, Sinead's build-up hasn't happened towards London, but her training's actually fascinating to listen to, though. How to come back from a stress fracture. A lot of patrons writing in about questions about that. Nick and Ellie, though, will be in action Sunday, so you can hear their build-up, hear their recap show next week. It's all there, the monthly with Christian and Toby tomorrow. Got an early release interview that Zach has said to send that to Patreon after this, so that will be on there. It'll be next week's interview. And about, 120 other bonus episodes on Patreon over there. patreon.com/InsideRunningPodcast if you want more details.
I just signed up to a Patreon for another show, and I've been really enjoying going back through all the old subscriber episodes. So they release the episodes just for the I don't think it's paid. I didn't sign up via Patreon. It was another type of app. It was on Spotify. I think you could sign up, or on the podcast app you can sign up.
Yeah, you can do it on Spotify now too, I reckon.
Yeah, but I'm this is at least one a month of episodes I hadn't heard before, and I've listened to this entire catalogue before. So it's been very good value for me.
Was it dog training?
Case file.
Oh, yeah, you love that stuff.
I do. It fucking makes me ill too, what people can do to other people, especially children. Fucks me up sometimes.
Why would you want to listen to that stuff?
I don't know.
No entertainment factor at all.
I sometimes get out of the car and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
I've been really getting into footy podcasts, like SEN, but listening to it as a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, your mate Kane Corns and Key.
He's good, isn't he?
Yeah, Jared Waitley, and he's in a bit of trouble at the moment, though. They're going hard on him for the
Horn Francis stuff.
Yeah, but he's backing himself. Just the professionalism of how they bounce off each other and stuff's fascinating to listen to. And there's so much content in the footy world too. Anyway, let's talk running. Canberra Marathon Croaks. Harry Smithers got the win, didn't he?
Yeah, so the weather, as I said before, wasn't ideal, but it was probably not as bad as I expected. As I was driving there in the morning, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a rough day, for runners and spectators, because it was wet and it was forecast for really windy weather as well. But it seemed to be when it rained quite heavily, there was no wind at all. And then when the rain stopped, it sort of got a bit windy. But I don't think the conditions were too bad in the end. For pretty much the first 35, 36K, Harry Smithers, Matt Johnson and Jamie Wagstaff were all together. Harry managed to close pretty quick, and that's his debut. So he won in 2:28.24. Daniel Carson, who's Canberra based, he came from a fair way back to get into second place, 2:29.25, and Matt Johnson was third, 2:29.48. In the women's, Cassie Little got the win, 2:45. Courtney Hopkins second in 2:51, and Amelia Spring third in 3:05. The half marathon was won by Ben Kelly, 68.17. Claire Ashworth won the women's, 81.01. And the 10K was won by Russell Desai Chin, 32.31. Marnie Ponton won the women's in 34.56.
Good. Some good results there.
Pretty average day, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, as I said, it was variable. There was times when it got quite windy, and then there was other times when I was on an exposed part of the road. I'm like, it's actually not too bad now. So it would have been a bit, depending on which part of the course you're at, when the wind picked up. So it was, as I said, quite variable. Yeah.
Can you run fast there? What's the elevation over the race?
Well, it's changed. It's 200. I think it's 200 and something now. It used to be about 300 and something. Back when I did it in 2017.
You ran 224, didn't you?
I ran 224.09 in streaks.
Oh, now we name the shoes we named.
No, but it's it's not. Oh, Nick Earl ran 220
on the same course.
Canberra.
This new course.
What's the course record?
People have run 2:15, 16, because the course has changed. Canberra Marathon's been going for so long, and back in the day, it used to start and finish over near Manuka Oval, and it pretty much used to be from there out along Parks Way, Brady, which is that really long exposed road.
And they had a tailwind coming back, didn't they?
Yeah, and then back. So it used to be basically 2 laps of 21K. And then it got changed to when I did it, it was pretty much like one big lap of like the lake. And then, for the last few years, it's been this new one. It's certainly not a super quick course, but, I think, you could still run low 220s on it.
Surely you got to win one of these races 1 year, Crux. Like you could have won any one of those races. 228, 68, 17, 32, 31.
Yeah, like part of me thinks that, but then I don't want to be that guy that just sits on the sideline and goes, "Oh, I would have won that." Like it's like
but don't you get the itch to get out there and get out there and do it though?
Yeah, but then it'll be the year that I rock up and somebody's running 219. And then
don't give us that, mate. Just you can't pay poor me if that happens. Just go out there and just race who's there.
Yeah. Well, I look at
more often than not, you'd win.
Yeah. Well, last year was one in 231.
Yeah.
So anyway,
imagine
maybe
winning
next year.
your home marathon.
It would be good to do.
You should see when I win this Sweat vs Steam up here, Crux. It's a great feeling.
Mate,
won 10 of them.
4 Great Ocean Road marathons.
Yeah.
Local marathon, mate.
The Roo Run record holder.
Oh yeah,
I've run the Canberra Marathon 10K twice.
That's a different vibe in your own hometown, I reckon. Rotterdam Moose, big one over in Europe.
Rotterdam was on pretty fast. This Bashir Abdi, who is really like probably in the top 5 in the world, I reckon, in marathoning at the moment. Guy seems to knock it out the park every time he runs. Ran 2:03.47, so he's won. It looks like a sprint finish from Timothy. Is that a mistake from you?
No, that's how it's spelled in the results.
His actual name is Timothy.
Well, I think it's Timothy. I think it's just a different way to spell Timothy.
It's a pretty odd way.
It is.
Timothy Kiplagat. He's Kenyan. He ran 2:03.50. So, I mean, listen to us. We're just saying 2:03.50 and we're making fun of someone's name. That's fucking ridiculous. But like 2:03.50, and this is at Rotterdam, second class marathon. Unbelievable. Abdi Nagihi, from the Netherlands. Shit, 2:05.32. That's, what is that, a national record?
Training partners, aren't they too?
Him and Bashir Abdi.
Yeah, and Mo Farah.
Oh yeah, Mo. He's not really in this league anymore, is he? Yunus Chumba from Bahrain won the women's 2:20.31. Tesfu Teklagergish Dolci from Eritrea 2:21.35, and Rose Chalimo 2:26.21. Rose Chalimo. That's a famous name. Someone Google that.
Is it?
Yeah, that's famous.
I've never heard of her.
Rose Chalimo. Yeah, come on. Silver. World Championships.
You're thinking about Paul Chalimo.
I'm not thinking about Paul Chalimo. She's. Oh yes. Okay.
Oh.
I reckon she went out hard. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Just forget about this.
Yeah.
I got a feeling. I got a feeling. Rio Olympics, maybe something happened to her. She went out hard.
I'll do some research while Brady goes through Boston.
Boston was today, and wasn't it brilliant to sit down and watch? I turned my phone off. I had a do not disturb, dropped the kids at daycare, went for a run. Carly went out for breakfast, and then we came home and turned it on. You know that old bloke who always comments, always does the commentary on Boston? You know the guy I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know him. I turned it on, I'm like, oh, not this guy for the next 2.5 hours. Coverage was ordinary. Let me tell you about the race, though. Obviously, Ellie Kipchoge went in as the favourite. I think he was paying even money against the whole field, which is pretty ridiculous to think about that. He went straight to the front and he did all the leading, and it was pretty quick early. They went through in 60-15. With a bit of downhill, I suppose. That's not ridiculously quick for Kipchoge. But it was interesting seeing him, and I did make comment to Carly that this is where we don't see him. Usually you see him behind 3 or 4 NN paces. They're locked into their splits. He sits there. They go as fast as they can for 30, 32k. Everyone else is burnt off. He runs the last 10k by himself, and it's how fast can he go. Went through halfway in 62.15 in still probably a big pack, I'm going to say, of like 10 to 12 runners. And it was like he almost saw the clock, wasn't happy with it, and then started waving people through to do some work. And the response from the Adidas boys, the guys that have won it in the past, Chibet was there, Kipruto was there, Guille was there from Tanzania, also an Adidas guy. They kind of all looked at him and just were like, nah, we're not going to do that. So they sat back, and then I'm going to say maybe 6 or 7K after that, they just all started throwing in moves, and Kipchoge got, spat out the back really, really quickly, and it was out of the picture. They kept a camera on him. There were so many opportunities for them to do like split screens with the men's and women's race and the wheelchair race as the footage was going, which they didn't take those opportunities most of the time, but they kept a camera on Kipchoge as he fell further and further, off the back of the coverage. Chibet ended up winning back-to-back, defended his title, and he won New York as well last year, so 3 good marathons from him. His Kenyan, he ran 2:05.54. Gabriel Guille, he was second, 2:06.04. And Benson Kipruto was third in 2:06.06. Kipchoge did come in sixth in 2:09.23. It was fascinating to watch. I think the story of Kipchoge getting beaten was huge. I think a lot of people expected he goes to Boston, wins that one, goes to New York in our spring, wins that one. He's got all the 6 marathon majors. Is there 6 or 7? Whatever there is. And it's just follow the script, but this is sport, and that didn't happen in the men's race. Makes me wonder where to now for Kipchoge, because he just didn't look like his time trialling self on that Boston course. Thoughts, boys?
Well, I didn't watch it, so I can't comment on the actual race, but I think it's refreshing to see him get beaten, because I feel like sometimes it's a bit boring where, he just runs with the group for 20K or 30K and then just kicks home, and it almost makes him seem human. So I think it's sort of good for the sport in a way. What he does now, I'm not sure, because he obviously has to now win Boston if he wants to try and win them all, which means he has to come back next year. But also you sent through a message, Brady, about him not doing an interview after the race, which I think that's pretty poor.
Yeah, Let's Run did an article. Jonathan Goult kind of wrote an article just about Kipchoge, and then one of the sections was Kipchoge should have spoken to the media after the race, was the subheading. One last note, it was incredibly weak move on Kipchoge's part not to speak with the media after the race, something that simply would not fly in major professional sports like the NFL or NBA. He was paid a small fortune to run this race, and his appearance was promoted relentlessly. Unless there was some sort of medical emergency, and there is no indication of that was the case, it's bush league that Kipchoge didn't make himself available on Monday, though the BAA said he will be there on Tuesday's Champions press conference to take questions. So yeah, it's he's a superstar though. He's an absolute superstar. He pulled out the new shoes, Moose, that have got his initials on them, and the no human is limited. Is that the next percent Alpha Fly?
It was 3? Alpha 2 actually. I thought it was
Alpha 2. Okay, he looks the part. New singlets. I just thought, and we know he's had that issue in the wet before at the COVID London where he got beaten last time. So yeah, that's 2 now that he's struggled in the cool weather and the drizzly rain. Flat track bully. Well, it's very much a script when he's on a Berlin or a London or a.
You can't say that.
Like, it is. He brings his own pacemakers. It's all set up just for him.
He's won the last 2 Olympic Games, both in the heat.
I would argue that the World Marathon Majors are deeper than... Boston is deeper than a World...
But you're saying conditions have to be perfect for him, and
no,
it's
I'm
not
saying
true.
the pacing part of it has to be perfect.
Yeah, I don't know.
He looked like a fish out of water trying to do it all himself without his boys around him.
I think that's what makes Boston, out of all of the marathon majors, that's what makes Boston and New York quite unique in that it evens out the field a little bit. The best runner on the day is still going to win. But, there's so many different ways the race can be run, whereas, when it's flat and you've got Kipchoge there, he knows what he can handle on a flat course, and he just goes out at that pace, like metronomic.
And he tried that.
Which is different on these courses.
Yeah. He's run 8 minutes slower than his PB. There was 1 in 4 minutes slower than his PB. I think you see that in the women's results when you look at Emma Bates. I'll talk about that. Helena Beery got the win from Kenya. Dathan Ritzenheim coached in that on squad there in Boulder. Ollie Horse, training partner. She was a late entry. I reckon only 2 or 3 weeks ago she got entered into the race. Was never there a couple of months ago when they did all the elite field stuff. Debuted at New York last year. Probably didn't have the success she wanted there. Maybe it was like 5th or 6th in the end. She got the win. It was an amazing race. 4 of them still together with, I'm going to say, a mile to go. And arms and legs were going everywhere. She got the win though, 2:21.38. Amani Buriso, who was the lady who beat G'day at Valencia last year when she ran 2:14. She was second in 2:21.50. And Ilona Solpeter from Israel was third in 2:21.57. Emma Bates, she was 2:22.08, 09, something like that. I think maybe like a 2-minute PB for her to be 5th. And that's what you're talking about, that Croaks, like a 2:23 lady is finishing 12 seconds behind a 2:14 lady. Course evens it out.
What were conditions like in terms of like because the wind's probably the biggest factor in Boston because it's a point to point. Was it?
The wind, and the commentary said it wasn't that windy, and it didn't look that windy on the coverage. Like whenever you saw flags or people wearing ponchos and stuff, like, and the commentators made note of that, like it didn't look like it was super windy. But then some of the press afterwards was like comments like, "Why did Kipchoge lead for so long into a headwind?" So maybe it was just slight, like, a 10, 15k an hour one. I'm not sure, but it was just drizzly rain, puddles on the road, like humidity kind of misty in the air. Didn't look that much fun. But the crowds were still there. People, a few umbrellas around, things like that. So pretty fascinating there. I do want to give a shout out to Show Notes Ross, who writes our show notes, Ross Pentland. Does our show notes every week. He ran a PB, 2:50.32 over there. Croaks is away this week in Boston, obviously, so you have to do the show notes. So not sure if you knew about that, but well done to Ross, big-time supporter of the Inside Running podcast. Writes our show notes each and every week. Does a brilliant job of it. That's all I've got from Boston boys, unless you want to talk anything more about it. Coverage was terrible.
I can't comment. I haven't seen any of it.
I didn't watch it either. It's the worst race to watch.
Hardly use split screens. It's like we try to do... I think I'll talk about this in next week's interview, but it's like, what are we doing with our sport here? It's like when you watch a marathon, it's like we're going to show you a bit of the wheelchair race, we're going to show you a bit of the men's race, we're going to show you a bit of the females race, we're going to give you a history lesson about how the marathon was created in Athens and what happened in Boston 100 years ago. Then we're going to give you a bit of like charity component, and we're going to try and wrap that all up in 2 hours, and we're going to do 5 things okay, nothing well. We're going to miss all the main moves. It's just how they cover our sport is terrible.
You got some comments on the wheelchair stuff, right?
The wheelchairs were the main focus for the first 45 minutes of the coverage.
Yeah.
It's just another component of a marathon. Well, not every marathon. I don't think... Do Berlin do a wheelchair race?
They all do it.
Do they all do one? Maybe all the majors do, but it's definitely a different prize money and stuff and different hype at different events.
Yeah, that does frustrate me when there's only like 10 people in the race and that's all that they're showing, and then there's like the running race. I mean, Boston's a running race. There is a side component to it, which is the wheelchair race, but there's only 10 people in it, and it's like I'm fully supportive that they do it. But
amazing athletes, what they're doing.
40 minutes, and often the race isn't close at all. Often there's just like...
I think the guy that won was up by 7 minutes at one stage. The girl that won had a technical, and she pulled on the side of the course and pulled out an Allen key and started fixing her wheel, and then got back going.
I'd want to watch that.
I didn't realise she was a winner. Like, is this the winner? Like, the pedestrians are like, what are we seeing here?
But yeah, they cut too much out of the actual running race. Like, I've often been frustrated for that, because they'll show the top like 5 to 10 people finishing the wheelies, as well as an interview, and the actual like race that's going on, you're missing it all.
Well, in this case, you're cutting away from the greatest marathoner of all time as well to do this. and what he's doing at Boston. Anyway, it was a good, yeah, Boston's always big.
Hey, Moose, you're right. Rose Chalimo, pretty well known. 8th at the Olympics in 2016, won the World Championships in London in 2017 and was 2nd at the World Championships in Doha.
Oh, there you go.
Doha buddies.
Done a bit.
Yeah, she's been around, Rose.
Okay, what's next on this agenda? Listen to
Irish
question.
10K road champs. So the Great Island Run, which doubled up as the Irish 10K road champs, was found to be 1.5K short because the winners were coming. The men's came through in like 26 low, and the women's was like 29 low. So yeah,
it's like the Sydney 10.
Yeah. Yeah. All I care there is about my head-to-head against Brady at Sydney 10.
When I was 13.
We ran on the same course that day. That's all that matters.
That's all you're hanging on to. It's the saddest distance, Crooks.
All right, listener question. Or, no, I'm hanging on to marathon PB too, actually. How many marathons would you recommend doing each year to maximise your potential? That question comes in from Marcus Hughes. And I saw another question a couple of weeks ago on a similar, topic. Could you do well at both Gold Coast and Sydney marathons given they are 11 weeks apart?
Yeah, we're starting to see this more, aren't we? Brett Robinson broke the Australian record off a small prep and a London marathon in his legs. What was that, October through to December?
Was it?
Yeah. I reckon like 5-6 years ago I would have said like 2 a year, whereas now I reckon you could get away with 3 at a stretch.
Yeah. It is a hard question to answer because you have these exceptions that we all think of that come to our mind. You're like, oh, Brett break the national record, right? And we go, oh, you must be able to do it. Hey, maybe we should all do it. But if you chuck 10 people in there, one of them has a great race like Brett, and then perhaps 9 of them have terrible races. But all we remember is Brett. And that was the point of it all. It's like, oh, wow, he did this off a tight turnaround. I still don't think it's great for longevity to be doing that. Longevity in your running, to be turning tight marathons around like that. I think you need to respect the recovery from one, and then you need to rebuild and lay foundations well for the next one.
Yeah. Because if you're doing 3 a year, so that works out basically 1 every 17 weeks, which... Yeah, like I think
but none of them are on. There's not one on the 1st of January and the the 31st of December.
Yeah, I know. Like I reckon if I was doing 3, I would probably have 2 of them as being like really serious cracks, and the other one just like a bit of a backup, or treat it a bit more as a solid training run. A bit like what sort of Brady's doing with Gold Coast. It's like he wants to run well there, but it's more just to practice like running a good one in terms of execution.
Yeah. I don't mind people doing them as part of training. That's also good. But yeah, there's a difference between running a marathon and racing a marathon. And it doesn't. And when I say racing, I don't mean racing to win, but I mean like committing to training for one.
Yeah.
And that's the hard bit. And I don't think you can commit to train to one without doing the work beforehand. Like before getting ready to train for one. So I'm old school like that. I like the idea of recovering properly after them. And I get this shoe debate. Like, yes, it unloads certain areas, so maybe your calves aren't as sore the week after, and so you can run longer. But I still think there's more to recover from than just muscle soreness.
I think part of it as well is how well you come out of the marathon, because you can have 2 people run the same marathon and potentially even run the same time. One person the next day can't walk, and they can't walk for the next week. Somebody else might actually feel okay within a week. Like, yes, they're not going to start back full training within a week, but they've definitely pulled up better than that other person. And I think sometimes we underestimate how much a marathon prep stays with you. And so you wouldn't, if you were doing 2 marathons like pretty close together, like there's no way you do the full build up for the second one. You pretty much rely on some of the base that you've done for that first one to get you through the second. So it's more of it's a shorter build, it's like a 5 or 6 week build instead of your 12 weeks, factoring in the work that you've done for that first one.
Yeah, I just think the seasons are good. Miss a season in between. If you go in summer and winter, autumn and spring's are more traditional. Skip a season, go again.
Longevity is the key. Like, you nailed it there, Moose. Like, if you want to be in the sport for a short period of time and just run 6 marathons in 2 years, then I think that's doable. But if you want to be running good marathons for 8-9 years, then you're better off doing 2 a year.
Yep.
All right, Moose on the loose. We've already had wrist heart rate. We've already had people who don't show alliances to the Athletics Victoria clubs.
Doesn't say people, Brady.
Yeah, well, I'm not reading out that word because I'll get in trouble for that. But what else you got? You said you were loaded at the start of the episode.
Yeah, well, I've cut a couple through the guts of the episode, just second thoughts, that kind of thing. But one thing that came to our attention was that the running influencer, Ned Brockman, he was famous. He ran across Australia, I don't know how long ago, a year or so ago now? A year?
No, less than a year. It was like
7 months, I reckon.
Yeah, something like that. So he ran across Australia. I don't think it was a record, was it?
What, do they keep records for that stuff?
Don't reckon he got the record. No, they do. He didn't get the record. But he put up an Instagram post. He's in Boston. Obviously, Puma, like his sponsor, have flown him out there. They're based in Boston, I think. And he's posted saying, "Hey, I went to pick up my friend's bib, because I was going to race as him at the Boston Marathon, and they didn't allow me because they needed his actual identity, to pick the bib up. So they weren't allowing people to pick up other people's bibs, which I guess fair enough. I guess, I don't know. That's not what the problem was. The problem was that he was going to run under someone else's bib there. And this is the Boston Marathon. We already discussed the qualifying. You don't just get to sign up to Boston Marathon.
Well, the problem was he was then asking people in the video, did anyone have a bib that he could have for the weekend?
That's a problem, right? So Boston Marathon, you have to qualify for. You've got to run a marathon within a certain time.
No ballot
under a
for
certain
Boston, is
time.
there? Yeah,
there is no ballot.
You can only get in for age. Qualifiers.
Yeah, you get in some sponsors entries or something, I'm guessing. Maybe
tourism. You could probably go on a travel package.
I reckon charity ones. Yeah.
Don't know about that though. The tourism one, I'm not sure. I reckon they're pretty stringent, Boston. And Ned Brockman's there asking if someone wants to give up their bib so he can go and have a run. Like he hasn't done enough running over roads the last year. But to me, this is taking away it's disrespecting everyone who's qualified for him to just put it out on his socials and go, "Hey, who wants to give up their bib for me so I can go and basically cheat my way into this race because I haven't qualified and I don't have an entry and I'm an influencer now. So anyone want to reach out and hook me up?"
Do you reckon he'd know the qualifying process?
I don't know, but I think Zach had made a good point. He's like, people just don't go to the Olympics and try to run as someone else. Oh, take your bib and run in the Olympics. The
Olympics is a bit different than Boston. I know they've both got to qualify.
Now, the reason why Zach said that was because in Ned's Instagram story, he was going on about the vibe and how good the vibe was, and that's why he wanted to run. So Zach was saying, well, the vibe at the Olympics would be pretty good as well, but you don't just get to go and run because of the vibe and you want to be part of it.
Yeah.
Zach is just going to love that you guys are quoting him here.
Quoting him in private message groups. But I think we can get a bit more out of Zach for this. But yeah, not on. Respect running. Respect the people that qualified and are running there. Don't want to hear any more of that.
Is there a deeper problem here, Moose, that running influencers don't know enough about running?
We know that there is, right? We know that.
If I could go down to my local footy club and tell me just tell me 3 or 4 runners that you've ever heard of, and all of them would say Ned Brockman.
Yeah.
He has touched the common man in his influence. and I'm saying this as a runner. Like, not as someone in the fitness industry, but he is like, people would say to me, like, oh yeah, like, could you go as quick as Ned Brockman?
That would go down well with you. That would go down real well.
Brady's response would be, how many stall sashes Ned Brockman got hanging up on the wall?
It's very similar to Boston, actually. You can't just enter that race. You got to be invited to race that.
My algorithm's playing all sorts of tricks on me on Instagram right now, and I'm getting some like heavily followed accounts with some of the worst advice I've ever seen. And I'm like, what is this? How do these people get famous with this? Like, how does someone become such an established running influencer when they're not any good at running? I don't like it doesn't sound like they're very knowledgeable about running either. They haven't got a lot of running experience. They haven't reached high levels of running or like competed or performed at a high level. So where's all this, like, how are they getting so many followers? I don't know.
They're in the media.
You got PR teams as well, Moose.
No, but they're on social. No, he is. I get that he is. Like, he's famous, but these people.
But he wasn't. He made himself famous.
Yeah, he did.
Like, we've seen other people do running things like that haven't got anywhere near as famous.
Well, you ran a lap of your school oval in some crazy time, Brady.
What was that? Minute 24 or something, wasn't it? Fastest ever on the staff room.
You needed to get the newspaper and the TV out there.
Yeah, should have. I don't know how these come back to taking the piss out of me, these things.
Well, you do have a website called Brady Trouble.
It's getting shut down. They emailed me the other day about paying a fee, and I'm like, I'm not paying a fee for that.
And just confirming, boys, you can actually go to Boston through travel packages.
Brockman.
Come on,
he's loaded now. You know how much he charges for speaking gigs?
There's a lot of speculation in this episode.
Yeah, we've talked a lot of shit. Well, Moose has talked a lot of shit.
Yeah, a lot of money. So he can afford the tourism entry. If he can't qualify, he can afford.
Yeah, but you got to lock all that stuff in pretty early. Whereas,
we talked about how hard it
was. You probably needed to lock the travel package in before he'd even run across the country for this year's Boston.
Yeah, well, hey, what are you defending him for?
I'm just saying.
Come on, mate.
Whose side are you on?
I know. But you're making out though that everybody who's running at Boston has like qualified through running a time, which is not true. People can just go and pay a lot of money to get a ticket.
I got I'm just going back through our message thread, and there's a good one in here. There is a good one. I just searched Brockman. Brady comment. No. I want to do a 5. I want to do a.
Oh, I know that one.
Oh, I better not read it out. But it's good.
That was a good. You guys all wrote back saying that's a good idea. You should do it.
Yeah, we should do it still.
A docu-series on him.
Yeah, a docu-series. Yeah.
Well, we may not be back next week. We might be cancelled, I reckon.
No, I didn't say the specifics of his comment. Anyway, yeah, that's good. Good collection this week. Things that annoyed me.
Let's wrap things up. We might be back for episode 286 next week, but if not, what are you doing between now and whenever, boys? London's happening. Who we got there? Nick, Ellie, Brett Robinson. 3 big dogs.
They've got Andy at Hamburg.
Miss and Gels Park. What's Brett going to run? Australian record? Weather's looking great, isn't it? Have to take a lot of confidence from last time.
Seems pretty fit, doesn't he?
Strava looks good.
He's put it down already, so I would say, yes. I'm going to say yes, he will.
Well, why not?
Not by a big stretch. Maybe 207 low, I'm going.
Yeah, roll the dice.
Yeah.
Prokes, any predictions? Ellie?
Ellie, what's PB, Moose?
226 something.
I'll go 225.45.
Good one.
Good from you. 19th at World Cross. Don't forget that, Brady. When you make your prediction,
Moose?
Yeah, that's a good one.
She was 19th at World Cross. It's a bit different though, Moose.
It's more suited to her, isn't it?
The sickness seems to be on your mind though, I reckon, the way you were describing it before.
It's unlike you, Brady, not to throw out an Aussie record
Oh, yeah,
here.
she's going to break the Australian record. Oh, I'm not concerned, but Moose had a bit of concern in his voice. I reckon if you come top 20 at World Cross, you should be running pretty close to the Australian record. So I'll say 2:22.45. She's an animal.
Right.
I watched her. I rarely see Ellie race actually these days because we used to see her at the AV races back when she was just one of the common people, but now she just does the big city races, so it's hard to actually see her in person. And you just saw that look on her face at Bathurst, seeing her on in real life. She's determined. She said on road to London she's going to rinse herself. Don't be surprised if you see a quick time, Croaks.
All right.
She jogged 71, didn't she, the other week at that Nagoya pacing?
Yeah, that was pretty easy for her.
Yep. Do anyone want to put a case on it?
Case on what?
Ellie's time. Under, over 2:25. I'll go under.
I'll go over.
All right. Put a slab on that.
Nah, I'm not taking that. That's a joke. I was going to say Andy Buchanan. You're his man. You're his closest buddy. Why don't you throw a timeout for him?
Well, he ran quick at World. Well, he ran, 28th, 30th World Cross? Pretty good time. Done a good marathon build-up since then. PB 2:12 something, 2:12:20 something, I think. Third marathon, been there, done that before. I'm going to say 2:10:57.
Croaks?
Haven't seen the weather.
I'll go 2:11:30.
Moose?
Yeah, I was thinking 2:11:30. I'm going to say I'm going to say he cooks one. I'm going to go 2:14:30.
Ooh.
That's cooking it too, but it's still not bad.
You reckon he'll go hard and pop?
Yeah, I reckon. I'm actually going to go 2:15 low.
Okay.
He's going to pop.
Croaks, bats or cats at Giles Park? Who you got?
Who's your team?
No, talking about the fight that we're going to have. But who's going to win that fight?
Well,
Who's your team, Brady?
I didn't even know. It's not being announced until tomorrow night. Croaks on the Instagram at 7 p.m, I think the boy said, so probably can't say much.
Who
No,
who
Andy,
your
no
big
Archie.
dogs? Moose?
No, we're shit.
Bats then.
Talked yourself out of it.
Yeah.
All right, show's over. Patrons, you'll see Road to London from there from last night, and you'll see an interview as well coming up tomorrow. Everyone else, see you next week. See you, boys.
See you guys.
See ya.
Special thanks to ASICS for sponsoring this week's episode of the Inside Running Podcast. The SUPERBLAST shoe adds another super running companion to your ASICS lineup. Generous, lightweight cushioning underfoot minimises the impact of repeat training on the body, making it ideal for longer runs, faster attempts and recovery training. Visit asics.com.au to get your pair today.